Hello, everyone. Welcome to the BATTASS Podcast, the Batman the Animated Series show podcast, where we talk about Batman the Animated Series, or in this case, Batman Beyond. My name is Clay McCormack, and with me, as always, is Sean Murphy. How you doing, Sean?
Good, man. I'm a little nervous about Indiana Jones. I'm seeing the reviews come in, and I'm not sure why I'm surprised. you know.
But yeah, a lot of that going around with a lot of these movies. Flash comes out basically on my birthday, so that's a nice nostalgic send back to when the Michael Keaton Batman movies used to come out on my birthday, and so I don't know. As I've said in previous episodes, I'm looking forward to it, but it's not going to really affect me if it's terrible. So
I hear this phenomenon that there's like this conspiracy theory of people who claim that wokeness is a problem and all that, and they think that a lot of the so-called reviews and critics, they're basically being told to lie to pretend that the movie is good so that they can get free access and go to the parties or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really true or not, but it's pretty silly, especially at the end of the day. You've got Rotten Tomatoes, which has the audience reviews, so if a movie's going to be good or bad, we're all going to find out. Like, I don't think there's any hiding it in the end.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's always been critics who have their quotes that get them on the poster, and it's always usually the ones that are overly praiseworthy. But now if you stop and you look at the quotes they pull, it's always from like some jackass on Twitter, so it doesn't even matter. I don't even think that stuff really matters anymore. So,
when I get a lot of requests from my peers for me to read their books and give them pull quotes or testimonials that they can put on the cover, I never ever use that stuff. I never ask anyone for them. Like, I'm not sure it really freaking matters, honestly. I think in the book market it does, but I don't know. I guess if Stephen King recommends a book, I guess I'm more likely to pick it up. But I just find that stuff rarely really affects the sale.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it for people if they want to not move the needle whatsoever with a name that gives them a good review.
I'll reveal how much of a dick I am. I actually don't write any. Usually I wait till the end of the episode. When someone needs a pull quote, I'll say, "Can you just write it yourself and just say I wrote it? Just whatever you want me to say, just have me say it. I'm really sorry." Like Chris Tabari asked me for one, and I was like, "Dude, I'm sorry. Like, I know that you think I do this a lot, but I actually never do them, and I just tell people to make stuff up."
Excellent. Good to know.
Yeah.
So anytime you see anything written that has his name attached to it, you can assume that is 100% from the heart of Sean.
Yep, sure. Well,
you do that. You do that at shows too, right? People are like, "Oh, could you sign this?" And you say, "Just whatever you want me to say," and then I'll just sign my name underneath it.
I actually appreciate when people do that. Didn't Leslie Knope on Parks and Recs do that before she got something signed? She's like, "I already personalized it for you. You could just sign it below." I would really appreciate that.
Yeah. I guess it's not all bad. Making people happy.
Sure.
But today we are here to talk about 2 episodes of Batman Beyond. We're here to talk about the Eggbaby and Zeta. And I had never seen, I don't think I had seen either of these, but I had definitely not seen Zeta. And I was interested to find out some stuff about Zeta. This is not the last time Zeta shows up for a number of reasons. So we will take a quick break and we'll get back into the Eggbaby. All right, The Eggbaby, story by Hilary J. Bader and Alan Burnett, teleplay by Hilary J. Bader, directed by James Tucker. And in this one, Terry is forced to take a computer-simulated baby with him everywhere, even as Batman, in order to make the grade in family studies. Meanwhile, a family of jewel thieves are plying their trade around Neo-Gotham, stealing priceless rubies. Note, Bruce Timm submitted this episode for consideration, and Batman Beyond won the 2001 Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Special Class Animated Program.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure what special class animated is, but it sounds great. It sounds very impressive.
Do you have to submit stuff to be nominated for an Emmy? I thought the Emmy people just combed through all the things and then decided what was best.
No, yeah, I think it's like you have to actively submit it. It works that way with a lot of different things, too. I know like the Eisner Awards and the comic book awards work that way.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That's one thing we can talk about for the second half is the Eisner Awards and how I think it's bullshit.
Okay.
Go ahead. You might not want to co-sign everything I say in case you ever want to win one, by the way.
Yeah, I don't really know what Outstanding Special Class Animated Program is, but sounds great. My biggest question about this episode is, what the hell is this egg thing? Is it a computer? Mm. Is it digital? Yeah. Is it like a super advanced Tamagotchi or something? What is this thing?
That's what I thought, Tamagotchi.
It's kind of creepy and weird. Like you can feed it, and its face moves.
Yeah. Do you remember in the late 90s they had those sort of owls or some kind of weird Tamagotchi thing that would record you, and shipping containers? Like people were worried about secrets, like things that when you ship things, there's a lot of stuff that sailors say that's kind of like not supposed to get out there about where they're traveling. No, there's some kind of like bad information that those things were actually accidentally recording a lot of this stuff.
Really?
So they thought it was some kind of security risk that these things were out there. Yeah, fast forward to now where everything is being recorded. So
yeah, I know. Yeah. Now those same people don't worry about the fact they have a phone in their pocket that records everything they say.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the Eggbaby?
I thought it was going to be a little better than it was. I know this clocks in as people's like a top 5, I think.
Does it really?
Or a top 10?
Huh. I
thought it was. I know it's not Heart of Ice, but I thought it was definitely up there for most people. What about you?
I thought it was fine. I liked that they at least tried to have a little bit of synergy with their two stories by having the villain be a mother figure who has this weird crime family that she's dealing with. But like I don't know. I thought it was fun. Didn't blow me away.
Yeah. I forgot. Well, last time you made a good point, and you said that there was this trend of a lot of shows that they always had to have this kind of episode in it.
Right.
You know, it's like
classic
when all the men take home ec class because they want to talk to chicks, and then it turns out the class is full of only men and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
I forgot that this was kind of a 90s trope.
Yeah, they've done this thing, this home ec caring for a baby thing on like hundreds of shows, I think. There's definitely a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode that they do this. Also, I think with an egg, and it turns out there's some sort of creature in the egg, obviously.
Yep. I think it's a Saved by the Bell. I think it does this.
Yep, almost definitely, yeah.
I think it was a bag of sugar, too.
Yes, that sounds familiar.
Or maybe, I think there was one with Frasier. No, that was Niles seeing what it was like to be pregnant by wearing a thing. But I think that's I guess that's related.
Yeah, similar. But yeah, I thought it was fun. My favorite part of it was probably seeing Bruce's lack of paternal instincts, where he just thought this egg was just a pain in the ass and kind of a silly exercise.
Yep. He does not see the value in being careful how you're raising children.
No, clearly not. If there's anything we know about Bruce, it's that.
Yep.
We got some new, or some of the surrounding high school students came back. There's Seth Green's character is back. Is Blade a new character? The girl that Terry was teamed up with? I don't remember her.
I forget, man. There's like 2 or 3 blondes that have really white hair or whatever, who look the same to me. I always forget
there's
which is
Chelsea,
which.
But they didn't use Chelsea in this one.
Yeah.
And they didn't get much. I thought they were going to get more humor out of the pairings, but they didn't do too much with that. Although I liked Seth Green's character taking care of the baby while Max did all the homework for everybody.
Yep, that's fair. Good. Yeah, it's funny. This show did do feminism pretty well, for being late 90s or whatever.
Yeah. What'd you think of the what's her name? Ma Mayhem and her team of weird sons?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a in Cowboy Bebop, there's a set of villains that this reminded me of. And I don't know if I like the family does crime together with mom or dad in charge. I don't know if that's ever been something that appealed to me. How about you?
I thought it was all right. I was too distracted by Andy Dick's voice because I was like, is that Andy Dick? Yeah, that's got to be. Nobody else sounds like that. And also, I couldn't track what that weapon was that he was using. It looked like a sandblaster or something.
Yeah. What happened with Andy Dick? Was there some kind of
what didn't
scandal?
happen with Andy Dick? I know he's had a lot of drug problems over the years.
Okay. Yeah, he's still around, right?
Yeah, he's out there somewhere. They've done the family crime thing before, obviously with the Royal Flush Gang, and probably works a little bit better
different.
there. No.
Yeah, that's different. I feel like I guess it's when it's sort of goofy and comedic like this. It's hard to take it seriously.
Yeah,
and maybe that's good for this episode because the idea of family and raising children is reflected with the villains as well as the mains, with the subplot.
Yeah. It was reflected with the Eggbaby of it all, but I kind of feel like they missed the opportunity to really kind of tie them together and have Terry really take anything away from it. This group reminds me a bit of, there was on the 66 Batman show, there was a group, Ma Barker was a villain with a bunch of her kids it was supposed to be like 20s gangster thugs or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it was the same kind of deal where it's the big blustery overbearing mother and then a bunch of all the other ones are just like, Ma, what are you talking about? I thought we were gonna take down the bank, that kind of stuff.
Futurama does this too. Now that I think about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the main villain there is she owns a mega corporation called Mom, and she's got her 3 beta male sons just doing whatever she says.
I'm sure you want to talk about the hover El Camino that they drive, though.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Honestly, it's not too bad. That might be what I draw, actually. And it doesn't even have any wheels, which is like every artist's dream when they draw a car.
Honestly, I find the body of the car harder to draw than the wheels. Like, I don't mind the ellipses and stuff, but there's something about the shape of most cars that I don't have the innate ability to make those feel right. Everything, the angles always feel wrong. I can never really what's the word? The rounded edges that a lot of them have where the line tracking back into the distance turns into the front of the car always throws me off, like where the headlights end up. For whatever reason, it's probably just because I don't draw enough cars, but it's something, the wheels never really bother me that much. It's the body that is the difficult part.
Yeah, I guess, you're right. Well, most artists don't seem to know how to use ellipses correctly. It's something I could I've shown you, of course.
Yeah.
But when I have 5 minutes to show an artist, I can quickly describe how it's like whether it's a wheel or the barrel of a gun. Some artists just don't get how to point the ellipse, which direction, which axis goes where. But yeah, you've got a solid handle on that. But yeah, the bodies are weird. Honestly, I've started to actually trace some cars lately.
Oh, really?
Because it's just quicker. Like, I built a model of the Batmobile, so I don't feel bad about taking a photo, and just what I do is I just put it up on my computer screen and I put a piece of paper over it and I just quickly
Can you hear that? There's somebody knocking at your door. It's you from the past. He's here to kick your ass.
Yeah, I know. But I've drawn cars the old-fashioned way for 17 years.
Sure.
I feel like, you know what? I know how shapes work. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
And I do know how to make it so they don't look too stiff. You know, like I know how to shake up the line work so it doesn't feel too plastic, when, you know, artists use models and stuff, it's even worse when they just like take a model and paste it in their background digitally and then just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel cool anymore. You know, like the cars feel cool in comics when you feature them in a new way and you have your own spin and your own flavor when you add, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And when you trace them too accurately, they lose something.
Yeah, because there's always something when you trace anything. Really, I've noticed that where that stuff really stands out is faces, right? And I think it's the same thing with cars, because there's something about the information that you're losing when you trace a car, you trace a face, where even if you trace every line exactly, you come away and you look at it and you go, well, that doesn't look right. And it's because it's not running through that filter of your brain where you're kind of interpreting it and putting a little bit of zip on it, or like maybe you're stretching the car out a little bit, or maybe you're making the windshield a little bit tighter to the body to give it a little bit more sleekness or something like that.
Exactly. You know? Yeah. That's really important too, because that's the benefit the comics has that movies don't, is if you choose an angle on a car, let's say it's not the best angle, like some cars don't look great from the back. Yeah. But when you draw the back, if you can shrink the rear taillights or make the rear wheels bigger or wider, something to make that single shot look better, do it. Because comics can do that and movies can't. Right. You know, even animation really can't do that. No one's going to know that you fudged it a bit. You know, like I don't love drawing this El Camino that I'm drawing in Zorro, but there's ways to play around with the shapes. It's such a weird looking car, and I've raised it and, you know, made it like an off-roader, which is better, but man, I don't know.
Well, you know, you are writing that book. You could blow the car up and you don't have to draw it anymore.
You know, the first title for the book was Zorro El Camino.
Oh, you would have been stuck with it then if that was the title of the book.
Well, El Camino is Spanish for the way or the road, which kind of works for a title too. So that was one sitting title for a while, and then I came up. Well, you helped me come up with Day of the Man of the Dead with the Day of the Dead team, which is much better.
Now, do you know the history of the El Camino? Because like it's such a unique car that you don't really see much anymore, and it seems like a style that is it impractical? It seems cool to have a car with like a flatbed on the back of it, but apparently it's not something people want.
Yeah, I think it might have originated in Australia. Yeah, and it's called Ute. I don't know how to spell that. Y-U-T-E maybe, I don't know. But they still make them over there, and they're hot. And I think people love them because they know they're a little ridiculous. Yeah. They're a little redneck in all the right ways. And I think Australians are very proud that they're a little redneck and gruff, you know. And I think that they exist really well with Latin cultures, because you see like in L.A. where you had the cultures of Mexicans who would lower these cars and trick them out and all that stuff. They just loved really long cars and lowering them to the ground and scraping, and the El Camino's shape just is begging for that. So I think when they named this car the El Camino, they did a really smart marketing for it, honestly. Yeah. But if they re-released an El Camino now, I'd love to see that, but I don't know how well it would do.
The whole, they could do an electric one, and the whole bottom of the flatbed is where the battery goes.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, it's the only muscle car that has a pickup truck aspect to it. You know, I mean, it's a two-seater. It's usually a bench actually, so three-seater, I guess, or how many people you can cram in there. But it's the only V8 muscle car that has utilitarian practicality at all. You know. Would
you rather have an El Camino or one of those like Toyota? You know those Toyota? Pickup trucks that are like you feel like you could probably pick it up and tip it over yourself. Those small ones.
Yeah, those have got a whole cult following too. Yeah, you know,
don't see those much anymore either.
Yeah, those are big in like the 70s and 80s, especially with the gas crunch. Or if you travel overseas or to third world countries, there's companies making those still that you've never heard of. Yeah, I think they're called micro trucks. But yeah, car culture is funny, man. I don't know.
The VW bus is apparently coming back.
That's already out in Europe. When
is
I
it
was
really?
over there, and yeah, I saw a few, and I was like, oh, that's
Electric Bus,
cool.
yeah.
I don't love it, but I know a few people are just the cult following exists here too. And as soon as they're available, I know.
Did
we're
you
gonna start
see
seeing them.
Fast X?
Not yet.
I think I saw somewhere that Charlize Theron drives a DeLorean concept in that movie.
Oh,
One of the two DeLoreans that are being produced.
God. Yeah. Did we talk about that on this?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
So yeah. So they're. Oh, I don't know if I can remember this. DeLorean. You have the actual company that John DeLorean had that made the famous car that was used in Back to the Future.
Yep.
And then you have his daughter got funding, and she's got her own company called DeLorean. Something DeLorean.
Yeah.
So there might be like a pending lawsuit between these two companies because she's allowed to use her last name, but there is like branding confusion. And both of these companies produced a concept cars that look extremely similar.
They look very similar.
Like when I first saw them, I was doing photos side by side, and it took me a while to realize, oh wait, the door is different, and that's different. And quite honestly, the designs are both terrible. It looks nothing like the DeLorean. They look like Audis, honestly. They're smooth, moon-shaped. They're not roadster at all. They look awful. Fucking boring and dead on arrivals, if you ask me. And ironically, there's a car called the Hyundai N74 or something like that. Just put in like Hyundai concept car DeLorean, and you'll see this thing. It looks exactly like an updated DeLorean should. It's got the square front. It's got perfect wheels. You've seen that,
awesome. Yeah, I just pulled it up. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's not a hybrid or an electric car. It's a hydrogen fuel car.
Oh shit!
So there's only one that they've made, but the thing looks fucking awesome. I would probably remove the spoiler on the back because it's a little too weird. But man, what a great looking car! I feel like that is what we were all hoping for in a new DeLorean.
That looks very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I the thing with the DeLorean, like, is there another car that is so, like, it exists in a singular moment in time? Like the Mustang. Every time they come out with a new Mustang, it's very cool because it's like, oh, how does it keep the classic thing but bring some of the new look into it and all this kind of stuff. The DeLorean is very specific about what people like about the DeLorean. A, the doors, and B, the fact that it was in Back to the Future. That's about it. I don't think the market for DeLoreans is as big as both of these car companies think it might be.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the movies, no one would care.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was the car with the gull wing doors, and now that's not really that unique anymore.
Yeah. I mean, any hero car from any show, like if it's Knight Rider or the bus from A-Team or the Dukes of Hazzard, like, people want that hero car, and it just sears itself.
You're right. That's why the '87 Ford Taurus was such a success, because that was the RoboCop car. And the easiest on-screen car to own is the RoboCop car.
It certainly is, man. You can find plenty of parts for it. Most people won't know what the fuck you're driving or care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just got to slap that OCP label on the side of it, and you're good to go.
I know we talk about me or you and me getting the license to Highlander and some other things, and I think looking into RoboCop might be worthwhile, just so I can invent a proper RoboCop car and not the Ford Taurus.
What does proper mean? Like, how?
It just has to. The thing. Oh man. I'm not going to win this argument with you, so I'm not going to try.
You mean one the actor could actually get in and out of while wearing the suit?
Well, that too, but in a comic. I mean, so if you had a new Ford Taurus, well, all right, put it this way: if you were going to have a new RoboCop movie, Clay, and you were going to do it the right way, you probably would feature the '80s Ford Taurus just for an Easter egg, right? But I'm guessing you would want to have an upgraded car for him that would also be a Ford Taurus.
It would depend. I mean, part of the fun of him driving that car is the fact that he's so futuristic and the car is so not.
Right.
And so I think it's difficult to update the car too much without losing some of that contrast,
Did he ride a motorcycle in the second or third one?
I think he does in the third one.
Okay.
Kind of makes more sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah. That's what I liked about the remake. I thought they got a few things right, honestly.
Yeah, it's not. I would say the first act of that movie is pretty solid. Like up through the part where he gets turned into RoboCop is pretty good, but then it kind of just gets kind of boring.
I know, and I'm not defending the whole thing, but there's just a handful of things that they did that I thought were pretty cool.
Yeah, they make a decision in that movie which makes sense in movie, but doesn't make sense in a larger. So when they thank you for joining us for RoboCop podcast, but.
And Back to the Future.
Well, I think it's an interesting thing to look at as far as like character design and stuff, right? Because when they first debut RoboCop, he's got this updated, sleeker look of the classic silver and black look, right? And then in the movie, Michael Keaton is like, "Nah, we don't want that. We need something more tactical, something all black," which in the movie makes sense as a thing that this guy would say. But as far as the look of the character, just completely kills it, because that updated silver and black design looks really cool, and then they just turn him into an unpainted action figure, and it kind of it works. It works for what the Michael Keaton character is trying to get at, but it doesn't help the movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
So anyway, Batman Beyond.
I forgot what else I was going to add to that. Yeah, anyway, Batman Beyond. Let's just go back to that then. So I guess that's what I would draw as the El Camino.
Yeah.
What about you?
I kind of think I would enjoy drawing Ma Mayhem and her crew, because it's a bunch of different sized guys, and there's I've been reading Dead Man comics recently, and I was reading the Kelly Jones Dead Man run. And there's this one character who's this very large woman, and Kelly Jones just goes like so far over the top with how this woman is anatomically created that I can picture him drawing these three characters and how much fun it would be to kind of jump between the very large mother character, the very skinny nerdy son, and then the one in the middle who's kind of like a bruiser.
Yeah, it's like that Nintendo game, Ice Hockey, where you have a choice of 3 different players.
Yes.
Fat guy, medium guy, or skinny guy.
Yes. Yep. Man, I love that game. It's such a good game. That
holds up, man. It's so fucking hard because you're controlling the goalie all the time. So
yeah, it had been so long since I don't think I had played that since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then I played it at your house one time. And as we were playing it, I kind of figured out the secret to it is you kind of have to watch the screen almost like a magic eye painting, because you're controlling every character at the same time.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to not focus on any of them so you can move them all as one unit.
Yeah.
And it's pretty interesting because it feels like it shouldn't work, but it does.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely was the limited programming. And it was, I think, one of the first hockey games they put out on Nintendo, so it was a lot on the system at first. So it's amazing it's as good as it is, even though it's very clunky and unique.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to the Nintendo Ice Hockey Podcast.
So many spin-offs.
What was your team made? Did you use fat guys, medium guys? What was the mix that you picked?
How many can you pick? I can't remember how many. Can you pick 3? Is that the deal?
There's 4.
4?
There's 4.
I think I usually had. I think I did like 1 big guy, 1 skinny guy, and 2 middle guys.
Yeah, that's what I would did too.
Like
but every now and then I'd get crazy and go all fat guys, or 3 fat guys, 1 skinny guy, or I would make my friend be skinny and I'd be fat, and so I had the muscle, but he had the speed, and
Yeah. Did you make him? And then if you lost, would you make him put the controller down while you beat him the next time? My cousin did that to me years ago when he was little. He was really, really into Nintendo. He had an N64 at the time, and I was over there, and he's like, "Do you want to play?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I think we were playing Mario Tennis or something, and I think I beat him twice in a row, and he like had a meltdown and made me put the controller on the ground while he beat me the next round, and then like started shit talking me afterwards. And I was like, "Man,
that's the way to do it, man."
Anyway,
wow.
Is there anything else to say about this episode? You want to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on.
What
my
would you
grade
rate this
would be, I guess I'll go 4 out of 5.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go 3. It's
Sure.
it's just one of those ones where it's tough because I think it's a very well worn setup with the high school. It's a good high school episode. Maybe I'll go 4. I think it's a good use of that trope, and it's very fun, and I like the payoff at the end when Terry ends up having the most healthy baby because it was the most visually stimulated, doing stuff more than just being eating stuff and sleeping and whatnot. I was expecting a little bit more of a payoff from the Blade side of the story where she kept ditching him, but whatever. You only get so much time.
Yeah.
But yes.
Hey, before we move away from toys, actually, there's something I wanted to ask you. Were you good at sharing your toys when you were a kid?
I think so. I don't have a ton of memory, but I think I was.
You strike me as the kind of kid who'd be like, "All right, you can come over and we can play wrestling, but we're gonna play it my way. Like, you're not playing with them correctly, then I don't want to play with you." Like, you seem like you might be a particular type of kid who, if you're playing G.I. Joe, if your friend isn't playing with them correctly, you opt out.
No, I don't think so.
You're good with sharing your toys?
Yeah, I think I was pretty open because I always thought that I remember there was, especially with action figures and stuff, there's always so much you could do that it was the world was kind of wide open. Although I do remember I had one friend. I never had like the huge collection of one style of toy, and maybe that was part of it. So like whenever I was playing with toys, it was like a couple Transformers, a couple G.I. Joes, a couple He-Man guys. I had a friend who had the big box of G.I. Joes, and he had like the ships and stuff. Yeah. And I remember any time that we were like, all right, today's the day, G.I. Joe, we're doing it. 3 hours would go by, and it would just be us giving all of them weapons. And then by the time they all had weapons, we would like go have lunch and then end up doing something else. And we just never got around to the actual whatever the conflict was going to be. Yeah,
it was all set up. Yeah. It's funny. I never mixed my toys. I kept my Joes separate from my, He-Man, or whatever, Batman action figures. I didn't really have a whole lot of those. But, I don't know why. I just didn't enjoy mixing worlds. I just sort of liked everything to be consistent. For that matter, I didn't like any of the food on my plate touching either.
Oh, you're one of those people. Interesting.
Eat one thing first, move on to the next.
Interesting. So do you look down? Do you look down on other people who mash their food together when they eat it?
I'm like, I bet you fucking mixed your toys too, didn't you, Clay?
Anyway, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back with Zeta.
Go ahead. No one can hear you. Now let's go over everyone you know at school again. And this time, be more thorough.
All right. Zeta, written by Robert Goodman, directed by Dan Reba. And in this one, a holomorphic military android has been reported to have gone rogue, and Terry needs to find him before he kills someone. But has the android really gone rogue, or has he just gained a conscience? This episode leads into the spin-off series, The Zeta Project, which is the thing I did not know. I had never seen this episode before. And as I was looking stuff up about this, I saw that there was this whole spin-off series based on this character that they got 2 seasons out of that I'd never heard of. And I guess he comes back for one more episode in Batman Beyond, and then they spin him off into his own show.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, honestly. I mean, as this was winding down, I was getting ready to go to college, and when in my dorm we didn't have TV or anything, so I just sort of lost touch with the Tim universe.
Yeah, it's interesting because I as I was watching it, it didn't strike me as immediately spin-offable, but then I thought about it, I was like, well, yeah, and I was reading about what kind of show it was, and it's sort of a man on the run show, like The Fugitive or The Incredible Hulk or something, and it's basically Zeta the robot on the run while the guys with the green sunglasses are trying to chase him down. It's not to get too into it, but it says it was created by Robert Goodman. Inspired by Frankenstein, Blade Runner, and The Fugitive, Zeta Project follows the exploits of Zeta and Rho as they attempt to prove that he is genuinely nonviolent, whereas the NSA agents pursuing him believe that the terrorists he was investigating before going rogue have reprogrammed him for some unknown purpose. A spin-off of Batman Beyond, Goodman initially pitched the show with plans to be darker than its point of origin, but when the pitch went to network, Kids WB was looking for shows that would skew to a younger demographic, and the Zeta Project was ultimately picked up with the thought process, it's a robot and it's a teenage girl. How much fun can that be? Promises were made by the show staff that most of the locations Zeta would encounter would not be as dark, gothic, or as oppressive feeling as Batman Beyond's Gotham City. Among this and other constraints, Goodman's original vision for the show's messages on dark government, misuse of technology, and a wide range of social and political issues became more difficult to execute.
For a kid's show? No shit.
Yeah. I really like that he brought the show in being like, I want this to be darker than Batman. And they were like, well, we were thinking, what about like much lighter than Batman? And that seems like it's a little bit not a great place to start. Apparently, despite the lighter tone that they finally did get, it was that Kids WB thought that the show was still too dark, and it was almost canceled completely after September 11th due to its plot line involving terrorism and commentary on the NSA. So I didn't know the Zeta Project was going hard at the NSA in the middle of the immediate aftermath of 9/11, but you find it in the strangest places, I guess.
Out of all the things to spin off in this show, like, I don't know, that's the best idea they had. I mean, I feel like I don't even know what I would do if you had to do a spin off of this show, like one that would really last. Who would you pick? Like, I think I would go with Max.
I was just gonna say Max.
Yeah, her or some other. If there's some kind of Robin that they could have introduced before the end or something, I don't know, but. Going off of a robot character, what?
Well, I mean, you could kind of split the difference, and you could have Max and a robot Batman or something, or a robot bat-related character, something like that.
That's fair.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, what'd you think of this episode?
I fell asleep. Like 10 minutes, so I missed the ending, and I woke up and we had to record this, so I apologize. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night.
That's fair.
It wasn't that it wasn't fun,
That's
but
fair.
I quickly read a summary before we were recording too, just to make sure I could pretend that I had watched it all. And I like that character, the not the hunter guy.
The guy who's chasing him down.
Yeah.
Yeah. You liked him? Is that what you said?
Yeah, the guy with the spear.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah, because I like shit. Did I watch the wrong one?
Guy with the spear.
The Indian guy who was gonna kill Terry.
He's not in this episode.
Oh shit! Okay, I probably watched something else then. I apologize. So I didn't even watch the right one.
It's the one where it starts off with a. They're at school and they have a teacher who's giving a lecture, but it's very close to like the textbook or something, and then it turns out the teacher is a robot who can change forms.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's been a while since this has happened.
I swear. This is why I'm not cut out the podcast.
Well, it's the preparation and research that people like the most about our show. So,
well, let's go into this. And I'm gonna do my best to lie. Now that you all know, I'm gonna be lying for the next 10 minutes. Let me see if I can fib my way through this.
Okay,
all right?
So basically,
what was your favorite part, Clay?
Well, so basically, what we've got this thing called an advanced tactical synthoid.
Yes.
Who is sent out to? He's kind of an assassin robot who has gone rogue, but he's gone rogue because he doesn't want to kill people anymore.
Exactly like Blade Runner. That's what I liked about it.
Yes,
too.
pretty. But yeah, it is very similar to that, and he it is kind of fun in that respect. What did you think I was talking about when I was going into the the spinoff?
I was waiting for you to I don't know what he's talking about. But at some point he's gonna say something, and it's gonna click, but it never did. And I started to think, huh, what did I do wrong here? Or maybe all of this happened in the very end when I was asleep. Like one of the characters was revealed to be a robot or something. And I was waiting for you to mention the Indian guy with a spear, who's like the hunter.
Which
guy.
Which one did you watch?
I forget. But do you remember the episode where there was this tall black guy, really well animated?
Oh, sure,
and
yeah.
He was, trying to hunt down all these like guys, people like Batman.
Yeah.
And so he basically comes back for an episode, and he is helping Batman, but they're not exactly friends because he's like, no one is gonna kill you, Batman, because I'm gonna kill you one day. And so they end the episode like that.
That's that's the next episode.
All right, so I think that my HBO Max just skipped ahead or something.
Oh, interesting.
Then.
Okay, well let me send you a picture of what Zeta looks like here. That's Zeta.
So, yeah.
What do you think of that design?
That's exact.
Because in the second episode with him and the spin-off show, I guess they were like, we can't market this to children if he's got this weird boomerang head, and so they gave him a face.
Like fallopian tubes.
I think the design with the weird boomerang head is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, there are ways to make that work better, I think. The face, though, yeah. Wait, so this is how he looked in the show, and then when they did a spin-off series, they changed him completely.
Yeah,
so there's really like nothing Batman about this guy at all anymore.
No, not really.
I assume the show took place in Gotham at least.
I don't think so. I don't know exactly where it took place, but so when he comes back, he looks different when he comes back for the next episode of Batman. So obviously, because he's this picture I'm sending you here, he's in the Batmobile. So that's the design that they use when they spin him off, and I don't think it takes place in Gotham City, his spin-off.
I don't the face version I don't mind so much. It looks a little bit like Scud,
I was
the
thinking
disposable
that too,
assassin,
yeah.
which I'm a fan of. So I don't know.
I don't like the.
What a weird show.
I've never
seen it.
I like the boomerang head just because it's different. Like they make him a lot more human looking with the face, and they kind of make his body a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? It looks more like a person, whereas the robot, the boomerang head is a little bit more weird, and I don't know. I was thinking in terms of like action figures, and I was like, I think I would be down for the boomerang head version of this as an action figure.
You grade high for unique. I think that you like.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
When they go outside of the box, I think you're always looking for that angle, and the way that the original one here is designed with these three lights and these high shoulders and that kind of fallopian tube head works. The second one looks a little bit more like RoboCop.
It does, yeah. He's got the same kind of the boobs with the lines on it is similar to RoboCop.
Yeah, it looks like something's grabbing his boobs.
Yeah.
In the first one, they have the same shapes, but it doesn't look like he's being grabbed from behind.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of sexy. Anyway.
It actually the first one does have more of like a feminine vibe to it. Oddly enough, because it's not really like there's really no sex applied to what this thing looks like, but
except for the shape of the head being a fallopian tube.
That's true, except for that, yes.
That's the right word, right? Like the inside of a woman, it looks like a bull shape.
Sure.
You know? I'm getting that right?
Yeah.
I think I fell asleep in class at sex ed as well.
You sound like Jack the Ripper.
Like, you better come with us, Jack. I think we have more questions for you down at the station.
That's why you sign all your books from hell. But yeah, this episode, it's kind of got like an ET vibe to it, where the misunderstood robot / alien, if you will, is being hunted by the government, and then Max and Terry have to even Max is the only one who understands what's going on, and Terry ends up fighting the robot, and then ultimately they end up on the same side. I thought it was a pretty good episode. This
sounds really good, man. This sounds better than the one that I fell asleep, if I'm honest. I'm kind of bummed that I watched the wrong one. This sounds pretty good.
Well, I mean, if you want to, when we record the next episode, if you want to give us our thoughts on this before we jump into the next one.
Sure. I mean, I know what I would draw. Is I would draw the robot. I think he looks really cool.
Yeah, I think I would draw the robot too.
Yeah.
The one thing that they don't do, so the thing that the robot does is it can impersonate people. It has like a holographic thing that lets him look like other people. And the one thing I was surprised that they don't do is the design feels like it's made for some weird movement, like crawling like a spider or something, or just a little bit different than just walking around. And they don't really do any of that. So that might be kind of fun.
You said he projects a hologram over himself?
Basically, yeah.
It's funny. I was going to use that idea on the Joker for the next volume of White Knight.
Oh, sure.
I know. I remember years ago making a big stink about when people kill characters, they should just stay dead. And here I am, like, continually finding the reasons to keep the Joker around. But I think I've said before that my goal with Batman is to get into the Justice League. And I won't spoil too much here, but I thought, well, what if Joker could sort of help? But would he still be a hologram? But what if he had like this, a body like this, and it projected? He's like a biped, plain-looking dummy robot, but he could project over himself, so he could actually interact with the world physically again.
Right? Yeah.
And, except when you touched him, you would feel like a cold robot, not like a human being.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway,
well,
it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it exists in the universe. It would fit.
I mean, because Joker's a good guy now, I have this weird opportunity to have him be like an active member of the Justice League and helping serve on intelligence, or who knows, Plus, he's still an AI, so he could possibly, like, if they ever fight Cardiac or Brainiac, sorry. Yeah. Cardiac's a Marvel character. Joker could, potentially fight with Brainiac in some weird way. There's some kind of potential there, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and maybe
kind of enjoying
if,
taking a break.
Maybe if people are reading Generation Joker, they should hang on and see what happens to the Joker at the end of the book.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys have tackled that stuff. You and I were talking about what should happen in the end, actually, and I won't talk about it anymore because I don't want to spoil it. But one of my ideas was, why don't we have him projected over a robot, and you wanted to go in a different direction, which they both work. Plus, we didn't want to have the artists have to redraw anything by that point.
Sure, yeah. But yeah, that's issue. I just got my comps for issue 2, which I think comes out not the week that this episode comes out, but the following week, I think.
Yeah. Which
is too bad because we're going to be in Washington D.C. this weekend, and so we won't. It's probably uncouth to sell the second issue before it comes out, right?
I would do it.
Really?
If I were you.
Yeah. All right.
I'll bring my copies too. If you want to sell that, I guess I'll take them. Whatever. Why don't you bring your comps? I'll bring my comps. I don't have any problem with that, honestly. I don't care if DC does.
Yeah. Well, all right. I'll throw them in the bag. Why not?
Yeah. So if you are in the DC area and you want some stuff signed by me, Clay, and some of our friends, and you want to get an exclusive copy of the book that isn't out yet, there you go.
But, you have to give it a great review, because that's the kind of thing we do, where we only give good stuff to the people who give us good reviews. So,
like on Rotten Tomatoes.
Movie posters, yeah. So, yeah, what would you draw from this episode? You said it would be the robot?
Yep, definitely.
I won't even bother asking you what you'd give it, because I'm sure it's 5 stars. I would give this one a 4, though. I thought it was pretty good. There was some interesting stuff going on. The tough thing with this show continues to be that it's, for every good idea, there's 2 times as much action, which for a kid's show, sure, whatever, but it feels so far removed from Batman the Animated Series that actually had time to breathe and stuff. Yeah. And this one is a lot of action scene after action scene with a little bit of character stuff. So I guess it's a different bar we have to kind of a different standard we have to keep them to. But I thought it was a pretty good episode, all things considered.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch it now.
Well, let us know. Let us know what you think when you finally do.
Sorry. I mean, I always wonder if people tune in because they really want our opinion on Batman, or is it just I like the way Sean and Clay talk about things comic related, and Batman episodes is their jumping off point. So it's not strictly about either one.
Sure.
Maybe that's why this works for people. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably you're probably not wrong, because I mean, if you go by the length of our episodes and how much time we actually spend talking about the episode of the show that we're covering, it's a little one-sided, I think. But
it's fun getting sidetracked, because I think it sparks. Because I never get to talk about these things in other interviews, but on this one, we claim that it's still about Batman, and it does circle it, but we got a lot of tangents here, which are pretty fun.
Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to jump into, or should we just call it a day?
I was going to talk about the Eisners.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because I think the awards were just announced, and it's. You tell me how you feel, Clay, but I always feel like it is the hardest, most emotional time for creators. Is they pretend not to care, but they do. If you're nominated, it's amazing. If you're not, you wonder, well, what do they have that I don't? So it's a very emotional time in the industry when the awards are announced. I think you start seeing a lot of petty, jealous behavior, and you value judgment. Like you're working your ass off in this industry, and you're not even getting paid that well, and you would like to at least be recognized. And then some artist you fucking hate gets nominated as the best artist, and you're like, oh God, why am I even trying? And inevitably you're complaining to your friends on your thread, and you're all commiserating, and because you hate the same, or whatever it is. Like that. I think it's a very emotional time in comics at this time of year when the awards are announced. I don't know. Do you feel that way?
I mean, I've never been within sniffing distance of an Eisner, so it's really doesn't affect me that much. I think it's probably different if you are in contention for that stuff. I mean, like you said, it's always nice to be recognized by your peers or whatnot, or even by the fans, because I know there's the two big ones. Well, there's a bunch of them, but like the two big ones for comics are the Eisners and the Ringos, right?
Oh, the Ringo, is that big of a deal?
I always felt like the Ringos was like the second most well-known one behind the Eisners.
It used to be the Inkwell Awards.
The Inkwell, yeah.
But I don't know if they changed to the Waringos. I don't know. Yeah. Is that named after Mike Waringo?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Mike Waringo. I always do that. Say his name wrong. Yeah, I don't know. I never took that seriously. I don't know if I was ever nominated. I don't ever. When you get nominated for an Eisner, I guess everyone is emailed this thing where you can vote who you liked, or I don't know. But what's weird to me is like people think that the Eisners, it's this committee of people that the same people on this board every year, and they read every comic and they decide which comics deserve the awards. It's not. It's a rotating group of judges. There's one woman who runs it, Jackie Estrada. She's been in charge of it since the 90s. And they get, a reporter type of person from a website or a magazine. They get editor. They get whatever. They just get like a cast of a changing group of judges every year. And they only read the stuff that companies submit. So I remember I did Punk Rock Jesus, and people were saying, oh, man, it's too bad you didn't get nominated for an Eisner. And I said, I don't think DC even submitted that. And they're like, what do you mean? And I go, well, companies submit things to the Eisners. If your publishers don't submit it, then, it's not going to get an award.
Yeah.
Most creators didn't know that.
Right. Yeah.
Now, if you have a book that's wildly successful and the judges want to bring it in, like, if you're a judge, Clay, and you get a list of the books that are submitted and you think there's one that really ought to be there that wasn't there, you can still suggest it. So if you've got a really good knockout book, it could still potentially be nominated, but it's just less likely. And I don't know how many books publishers are allowed to submit, or who else can submit them other than publishers. But, for me, I think I stopped caring about the Eisners when it was mostly indie and underground books that no one's even heard of, like it just seemed like what's the publisher called? Like Drawn and Quarterly and some other publishers based out of San Francisco seemed like they were getting 50 to 70% of the awards. It's like shit that you've never heard of. And on one hand, I was like, well, it's nice that those creators are getting acknowledged, because it's easy to pay attention to the big two, because that's where all the high profile stuff seems to happen. It's nice to shine the spotlight on hardworking people that are in the indie scene. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, it's like this industry wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Marvel and DC bringing in 80% of the money and supporting all these other publishers on the side in a way. You know, like if we lost the two pillars, we would all die. So it feels like the Eisners should probably be more friendly to Marvel and DC because that's what runs the industry, honestly. You know, whether you like it or not, that's just the math. So I feel like it's kind of disrespectful that Eisner sort of look at comic book superhero stuff as like, no, I don't know if that's high art. This is the Eisners. We're looking for stuff that's like, you know, really good.
Well, I don't know if that's the way it is as much anymore, because as I was as I was mocking up the fake Eisner nomination page that listed Batman One Bad Day, Condiment King in the running for best single issue. There was a lot. I noticed there was a lot of probably more DC stuff than Marvel. I think maybe. But there was a lot of names I recognized, a lot of books I recognized.
Yeah, maybe it's gotten better.
Yeah, Tom King's on there
lately.
a bunch. I think James Tynion's on there a bunch.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's the same kind of thing, the same kind of discussion they have with like the Oscars, right? Where it's like, what's the word? Box office doesn't necessarily denote quality. So like, are you going to give a Best Picture nomination to Transformers 2 because it made $1 billion, but not this other movie that's like objectively just a better film, you know?
Yeah. Simply put, it's politicized, but every award show is, you know?
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
even when Saving Private Ryan didn't win, but Shakespeare in Love did. That was complete horseshit, and that was the first time Harvey Weinstein ever figured out a way to game the system and win the award. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I guess it used to have more integrity, but now it's just, I mean, in being a creator and being a possible contender to win these awards and having won two myself, I don't know. I just think the whole thing is silly, but there really isn't any criticism I'm pointing out here that you couldn't point out at any award show.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, award shows by their nature are subjective, you know, so
of course
it's all, I mean, I've always found the Oscars very fascinating in how they tend to I don't know if correct mistakes is the right way to put it, but there's always like what is it, Denzel Washington didn't win for Malcolm X, so the next time he was up for Training Day, he wins for Training Day, like that kind of thing, where it's like the makeup Oscar. I always find that stuff happen. Yeah. I find that stuff very fascinating. Because it's like someone like Denzel Washington, you could really give it to him for anything, and it would be a valid win, no matter how you shake it. But it's always fascinating. You know, Paul Newman nominated 6 times. He only won once, and it was for I can't remember what he won for, but it was the one time he didn't even go to the show because he didn't care anymore. Is when he won. Yeah.
Huh. So when I got nominated, I didn't mention it at all. I didn't say thank you. I didn't talk about it on Twitter at the time. Like I don't know. It just felt weird to self-congratulate like that. So I just found myself staying out of the whole discussion. And I didn't think I was going to win or get nominated. Or sorry, I was nominated. I didn't think I was going to win.
What was it for?
I wasn't planning on. It was for The Wake.
The Wake, okay.
I got nominated for. I was nominated for Best Cover Artist, Best Artist, and The Wake was nominated for Best Series. Mm-hmm. So I was up for 3 awards that year. And the book hadn't even finished yet. So, like, it got nominated and no one even knew what the ending was supposed to be. And a lot of the ending was very confusing. A lot of people didn't even understand what that was. So, that's kind of interesting in and of itself.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, well, I'm not going to win. There's a lot of great artists there. And I'm just, I wasn't planning on going to San Diego anyway, so I stayed home. And not only did it upset the Eisners that I didn't talk about it, like they want people to talk about the awards because it helps promote the show.
Right.
So if you get nominated and you don't say if you don't mention it at all, if you just go silent like I did, they don't like that. And then the fact that I didn't go at all to the show upset them. And when I won these awards, Scott Snyder had to go up and accept them for me. So I remember he reminded me of this recently. He was texting me. He's like, dude, you're not here? What's going on? I'm like, oh, man, I've never been to the Eisners, honestly. He's like, well, you're going to win. So I'm going to go up there and get the award for you. What do you want me to say? So I texted him like, oh, tell them that, the Eisner's overrated and fuck the system and blah, blah, blah. I said some shit that I knew he wasn't going to say. And he's like, I'm not going to say that. So he goes on stage and he has his phone. He's looking at my response. And my response is just to jokingly say Sean didn't come because he doesn't agree with awards and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, all right, Sean told me what to say, everybody, but I'm not going to say it. And everyone starts laughing. And he's like, Sean's very thankful for the award and we're so proud of the book and blah, 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 blah. To Scott's credit, he said the correct thing, the gracious thing. I wasn't even serious when I texted him what to say, but he thought I was. And then after that, there was no real fallout, but people asked me why I didn't talk about the Eisners at all, why I didn't go. And I just started being honest with people and saying, I just don't care. I mean, I remember when the book Punisher Max. No, sorry. There's a book called Fury.
Fury Max?
Thank you, yeah. Fury Max. Written by Garth Ennis, drawn by Goran Parlov. It was an amazing story about Captain Fury?
Nick Fury.
Thank you. Wow. How am I in comics? Nick Fury through all the wars.
Did you sleep through that one too?
Yeah. It covers World War II, Vietnam, Korea, and it is wild. It's fascinating. And he found such a great creative way to talk about all these wars through the lens of Marvel Universe. And do a really impressive story. Yeah. The art was incredible.
Yeah, it's a great book.
When that didn't even get fucking nominated, I'm like, I don't care about the Eisners anymore. Like that book should have won. It's just crazy to me that. Anyway, so I stopped giving a shit. And I started, Ryan Otley and I were talking on Twitter once openly and saying, because he doesn't care about the Eisners either. He doesn't go to the awards, I don't think. He, like me, thinks the real award in comics is to be able to pay your bills and to have a sustainable career. Like, that's the best thing. It doesn't matter what awards say.
Sure.
And the people who run the Eisners, or someone who was running for them that year, basically sent me a night letter and said, you're never going to get nominated ever again. You should. I'm glad you don't like going to. Like, they basically said, because I've been talking a lot of shit, there's no way. It doesn't matter what book I ever do or how good it is. They're never going to nominate it. So it is political.
Yeah.
It's not about the best book. It's about the best book that was submitted. If you're the right type of creator that toes the line that they want you to toe, that's what it is.
Yeah. I've always wondered. My question about the Eisners is always, how much weight does it carry outside of creator circles?
Oh, zero.
Yeah, there are literary awards and children's book awards and stuff where it's like you put that sticker on the front of the book, and it's something that people respond to and make sales go up and stuff. Does the Eisners really affect anything in that sense? Like, it does introducing yourself as multi-Eisner award-winning artist Sean Murphy really mean anything to most people?
No. On my Twitter or on my Instagram, I say that I'm a New York Times bestseller because I do think that matters more with people, and I'm super proud of that because they don't even have the category anymore. I don't think. So that's an achievement I was happy to take. But the Eisners, I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And when they were telling me that I'm basically never going to get nominated again because of my so-called bad behavior, I just doubled down and like, well, fuck you guys, I don't care.
Yeah.
You just saved me the trouble of going to one of your shows ever again.
Yeah, I always, the thing with award shows for me is that I feel like if it's, the Oscars hold weight because they're kind of like the movies that end up getting nominated for Oscars, people end up going out to see, right? Yeah. And the same thing, I don't know how much weight the Grammys hold. I think the Grammy. One time years ago, I was saying, you know what? I think I'm going to try to win a Grammy because it felt like it was the easiest one to win. Like, there's so many weird categories. It's like, I feel like I could probably think of something that would get me nominated for a Grammy because they have so many fucking weird categories. I think I have the least amount of respect for the Grammys because I remember there's one year where I saw what they were doing and I was like, oh, this is just back padding, you know. Whether it's Jethro Tull beating out Metallica for best heavy metal album or whatever. But yeah, I feel like the best thing about award shows is that they are representative of more so the people who are enjoying the content than it is the people who are making it. Like there's some, you know, you have the Screen Actors Guild Awards and stuff or that kind of thing where it's more insular, but there's still an outside element that is celebratory of these things. But I don't know, the Eisners have always just seemed, I've never really felt like it's for anybody other than the people making the books. And maybe that's just as important as anything else, but I don't know. I feel like there needs to be an element of it where it's like this is somehow making lending to more enjoyment by more people of the work. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
And I think the people that hand out the awards are self-deputized. That's the right way to say it. But it's not like the movie industry got together and each sent a representative to create a system to find fair ways to award the best movie. It was some guy in his shed or some girl who decided, hey, why don't we just start an awards ceremony? And one of the awards ceremonies ends up rising above the others, and that's just the one that everyone just recognizes as being the most legit one.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's not created by the committees, so I'm not doing a good job of saying it, but I think you guys know what I mean.
Yeah, I also don't know exactly how the Eisners function. I think there's a fan element to it where it's like once things get, I don't know if it's you can help, you can vote to get something nominated. So it's like if you know something has been submitted, then you can go in and the things that get the most votes end up on the ballot. One of those kind of things, like a Major League All-Star ballot or something. But I'm not totally sure. Like if there's more consumer and fan involvement and joy taken from it than I think there is, then maybe that's a little bit different. But it feels very insular, and for there only to be like a couple award things for comics, and they both kind of feel that way. So I don't know. I mean, it's obviously being recognized is always nice, but there's only so much. It's not worth getting upset over, I guess, is what my point is.
Yeah, I think that people do get very upset about them. So it hurts when you don't get nominated, or if someone that you think is phoning it in gets nominated. Yeah. It's like, why am I trying so hard if that idiot's gonna get best award or whatever? The people who won that I thought didn't deserve it. The people who won who I thought won politically, you know. But yeah, so it says here the nominations in each category are generated by a 5 to 6 member jury, then voted on by comic book professionals and represented at the annual San Diego Comic-Con. The jury often consists of at least one comics retailer, one librarian, and one academic researcher, among other comics experts.
Okay.
So I guess there is a voting aspect to it. But yeah, I always thought, like, I wish that the Eisners were more of the People's Choice Awards. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the Rotten Tomatoes, like, what do people really like in comics? Like, let's just send every comic book reader or comic book shop a ballot, and paying customers can just vote on what they like, and let's see what's actually speaking to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
that's sort of what I'm more interested in.
I do think one of the things that is good about the Oscars and hopefully the Eisners is that it's not all just top of the line, big studio stuff. You know, because there's a lot of if they hadn't given Parasite a chance at the Oscars, people might not have seen that movie. And that's a really great movie. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, I do appreciate that it brings, like, that's what I do value about the Eisners, is it brings attention to other projects that otherwise would have gotten forgotten or not seen. Like, I don't need an Eisner Award. People know my shit, my career's fine. Like, I'm happy to not be included. Honestly, it's probably more worthwhile to help boost new talent to help those people out. Honest, if I'm honest,
Sure, sure.
Yeah, I mean, what annoys me sometimes is like when I get really. I had some dark times where I was like, people don't fucking understand how hard I've had to work to get everything I have. Like, if you get me in a bad mood and I'm drunk or whatever, and I don't know, Clay, you might have heard me do this rant before, but it's like, do people know how hard it? Yeah, right. How hard it was to get AOL Time Warner to agree to do a book about a cloned Jesus Christ, telling America to go fuck itself.
Right.
Like, that is really hard to pull a book like Punk Rock Jesus off. I'm not saying that that's a perfect book, but I remember thinking, like, man, I'm so glad I managed to get this weird book off the ground. And then to, like, figure out a way to do your own Batman universe, like, the things that I've struggled to do, and I am tooting my own horn here, I apologize. But I'm like, there's no award system that is capable of acknowledging how fucking hard all that was, you know?
Right.
And I don't need anyone to give me an award to tell me that I've accomplished these things. And I'm just one guy, and there's a bunch of artists out there who've done other accomplishments in different strange ways and pulled off the impossible in ways that, you know, like all the stuff that Alan Moore has done. There's no single award that can really encapsulate or appreciate what the hell that guy actually went through, you know? The only one that actually knows his struggle is him. So, I mean, the idea of having a award, I don't know. I'm not really sure what the point of what I'm saying is, other than I work really fucking hard, and there is no award I need because I know how awesome it is to have made it.
I think what you need to do
okay.
is you need to have someone 3D print an award that you've designed, and then every morning when you go into your studio, just give yourself the award and then give yourself the acceptance speech.
Yeah, that sounds like me. Let me get a soapbox so I can stand a little taller, alone in my kingdom of one.
Yep. Anyway.
Yeah. Remember the year when the movie Crash won?
Oh, God. Yes.
Yeah, like there are years where the day after, everyone immediately collectively goes, well, that was bullshit, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, it's all subjective. It's all zeitgeisty for the sometimes the right reasons, sometimes the wrong reasons. You know, a lot. There's, if you go back and you look at, we've done this a few times on when Wes and I, we used to do an Oscar season. We would do the highest and lowest rated Best Pictures, and we would go back and we would occasionally talk about previous winners and stuff. And there's so many Best Picture winners that are movies you've never heard of. You know. Yeah. Especially after the 70s. The 70s is pretty much all bangers, but like the 80s is a dead zone for a lot of those movies.
I'm trying to think. Amadeus. Yeah, I got nothing. I remember Amadeus won Best Picture, I think. That's the only one from the 80s I can think of.
I don't know. Actually, you know, now that I'm looking at it, it's movies I've heard of. But
2 years ago, was it Nomadland that won?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well,
fuck that movie.
Movie. You can't base anything on the Oscars from 2021 because that was just like post-pandemic. There was like that was the year. Remember, there was like a horror movie that cost like $5,000 to make that was #1 at the box office for like 16 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was playing at drive-ins.
That was a weird year. They should have fucking made that that should have been the movie, honestly. They should have
given that the Oscar. That would have been great.
Or, Deadpool 2 or whatever came out. It was halfway decent.
That was.
I think Nomadland was just a movie about what we were all feeling.
Yeah.
Just these
sad buckets.
Yeah, these sad desert people with nowhere to go. Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, award shows are what you make of them, I suppose.
Yeah. But the thing that gets me into fights with other creators is they care a lot about these award shows. Like, I remember Mitch Gerards, who was a friend of mine. He was going at me on Twitter because he, really appreciates the Eisners. It means a lot to him, and you should always be, thankful and what a joy it is. Like all the right things. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, Mitch, thanks for taking the high road. Like, why don't you come down on the low road where the rest of us live?
Well, I mean, I think it's a two-way street where I don't think you need to be mad at someone who doesn't really care about them, and I don't think you need to be mad at someone who does care about them because, Everything affects people. I just don't think it's worth being mad about. Full stop. I guess is where I come down on it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like I would like to know if there are creators. The thing that feels different to me when it comes to comics versus movies is movies. You have like the term Oscar bait, right? Where it's like, okay, they're making this movie specifically because they're angling to get the movie or the actor an Oscar, right? Does that happen in comics? Are there books that are just made purely with the intention of trying to be to win an Eisner? I don't know. I feel like that's a lot of work for that. Like for something that doesn't give you as much bump as say an Oscar would. And so like if you are a filmmaker who is making something specifically with Oscar hopes and minds, then I can see you might get shitty about it. But I don't know. It's just I just don't feel like that's the way most people make comics. I could be wrong, but
yeah, I'm not sure either. So, all right, the 80s for Oscars here. We've got Ordinary People, Chariots of Fire.
Yep.
I remember the soundtrack was pretty banging.
I don't know if I've actually seen that.
Chariots of Fire beat Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. 82. Gandhi, which beat E.T.
Yep.
Tootsie and The Verdict.
That's the thing is like a lot of these movies are like, oh yeah, that's a pretty solid movie, but then you see the movies they beat and you're like, oh well, I don't know about that.
Yeah. So wait till we get to 1994. That's so in 83 we got Terms of Endearment, which beat The Big Chill, The Dresser, The Right Stuff, and Tender Mercies.
Okay,
I've not seen any of those
movies. I would say that's probably a good year for that movie.
Yep. 84, Amadeus won, which I think is fair. 85, Out of Africa, which beats Color Purple, Kiss of the Spider Woman, which is not what you think it is. Witness, it also beat. 86, Platoon won.
Yep.
It beat Children of Lesser God, Hannah and Her Sisters, The Mission, and Room with a View.
Interesting. The only one of
87.
those that I know of that like The Mission might be a contender, but Platoon seems to be the clear choice there.
I remember watching The Mission in Spanish class. I think Robert De Niro was in it. Is that the same movie?
Yep.
Cool. 87, The Last Emperor, which beat Broadcast News, Fatal Attraction, Hope and Glory, and Moonstruck.
Oh, man. Broadcast News, such a good movie.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Really, really great.
All right, 88, Rain Man.
Yep.
Beat Accidental Tourist, Dangerous Liaisons, Mississippi Burning, and Working Girl.
Yeah.
All right, so 89, Driving Miss Daisy. Ooh, this is a good year. It beat Born on the 4th of July, Dead Poet Society, Field of Dreams, and My Left Foot.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's a good year for movies.
Yeah.
All right,
that's not even
90.
That's not even counting Ghostbusters 2 and Last Crusade.
Not even
and UHF
not
and
even
Batman.
special effects. Oh man, Last Crusade. You're right. That should be there. 1990, Dances with Wolves beat Awakenings, Ghost, Godfather Part 3. What? That was nominated?
Yeah, it's a Godfather movie. It has to be. That's one of those things where it's like, how do you not? You know?
What? I mean, Goodfellas right next to it. So two mob movies. One is considered the best. One is considered the worst.
The worst.
Yeah. Wow. Scorsese must have gone in thinking, "Yeah, I'm definitely going to win this."
Man, the first half of the 90s is bangers. The second half of the 90s, not so much, but
yeah. So I'm just going to skip to 94 because that was a contentious year. Forrest Gump won, and it also beat Pulp Fiction and Shawshank Redemption. Oof, man. Yeah. Quiz Show and 4 Weddings and a Funeral. I haven't seen. But Forrest Gump, like I am a solid Forrest Gump defender. I know that it's popular now to dunk on it and say it's overrated, and there are good reasons why those people are right. But yeah, I'm more of a Shawshank Redemption guy, and Pulp Fiction obviously is. Yeah. What do you think about 1994?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I watched Forrest Gump. I don't know how much I remember. I remember liking it when I was younger. I don't know how much I would like it now. It just seems so saccharine, and I saw someone on Twitter say something like, Forrest Gump is just boomer fan service or something like that, and I was like, yeah, kind of a little bit.
Yeah, it really is a story about a generation.
About a what? Sorry.
A generation.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a story about a generation.
Which it's not a bad thing, but.
So I was trying to think, if you had to do Forrest Gump now, if it's about our generation, so how would you tweak the story? And there's some really interesting answers here. One, so he's born in 1980.
Yep.
Instead of running into Elvis and teaching him how to dance, he runs into Michael Jackson and teaches him how to moonwalk.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He's got some kind of disability. You keep that, of course. He'd still be from the South. His war wouldn't be Vietnam. His war would be Desert Storm.
Yeah.
Right. And, you could go through the scandals of the presidents and, he meets Monica Lewinsky,
Right. Right.
Going to the White House. And I think the end.
He accidentally invents the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. There's all kinds of fun, like, stand-in scenes that you could put in from the 90s. Grunge music hits. Jenny is, she's not a hippie. She's like a goth chick
from Seattle.
I think that would be yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the question is like, well, I guess what would be the ending of it would be 9/11, I guess, like the big event that sort of
Jenny dies in 9/11.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
oh,
brutal.
Boy.
Yeah. But it's fun to sort of think about what that movie would look like for our generation. You can talk about it for hours, honestly. It's a good road trip conversation.
Yeah, and how many weird CGI dead people they could put into it.
Yeah, with the mouths that don't line up at all. But it was so amazing back then.
I mean, I'll tell you, I think that stuff is a little cringy at this point, but I think that all the Lieutenant Dan stuff is fantastic. The special effects on him are amazing. The removing his legs and stuff. I think there's a lot of great stuff in it, but I don't know how much I would like it now. I mean, especially compared to, what was it, Shawshank, and what was the other one?
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's like Forrest Gump is definitely the capital O Oscar movie, but those are two, Pulp Fiction. Shawshank didn't really have its day until much later, but Pulp Fiction was right there,
Yeah, the director of Shawshank, Frank Darabont, said that 94 was the year of Gump. Yeah. And, like, nothing was going to fucking come near that movie.
Right.
I mean, even though, it is a little saccharine, but it's such a tour de force, like, epic in scope and setting and special effect. It really has all the things. Shawshank Redemption was a more limited budget. So was Pulp Fiction, for that matter. But yeah, it's hard. Like the behemoth of Forrest Gump I think it deserves the win, honestly, even if some people don't like it as much anymore.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So wait, 95, Braveheart beat Apollo 13, Babe, the Postman.
The Postman.
Yeah,
that was nominated for Best Picture.
With Kevin Costner, is that right?
It was a Kevin Costner epic, so of course it needs to be nominated.
Wait. Il Postino. It was an Italian movie.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't the Kevin Costner one. Okay.
Thank God. No,
because I've seen that movie. That movie sucks.
It was terrible. I wanted to love it. That was post Waterworld, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Il Postino. Okay. Well, thank God. All right. Okay. Oh man. 96 English Patient beat Fargo. Beat Jerry Maguire. Oof. Secrets and Lies, never heard of it. Shine.
I mean, that's Fargo. Fargo should have won hands down that year.
Yeah, and then 97 was Titanic, which is the Forrest Gump of its time for many reasons. It beat L.A. Confidential, As Good as It Gets, Good Will Hunting. Oh, that was the big the big year for Ben Affleck and whatever
Damon.
The other guy's name. Thank you, Matt Damon. Yeah, American Beauty. Oh, sorry. Shakespeare in Love. It beat The Thin Lead Line, Saving Private Ryan, Life is Beautiful, and Elizabeth.
Wow. That's a pretty good year, actually.
Yeah. And we'll end it with 99. American Beauty beat The Cider House Rules, The Green Mile, which I wanted to like because it was like Shawshank but better, and it was terrible. I mean, I didn't like it. Anyway, The Insider and The Sixth Sense.
Oh, The Insider. Oh, Insider's so good.
Who's in that?
Russell Crowe and Al Pacino, Michael Mann movie.
Okay, that's right. You're crazy, Michael Mann.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
I gotta watch that. And then The Gladiator won 2000, which is the correct answer.
What are the others in 2000?
Chocolat,
Yeah.
which I love. Crouching Tiger.
Yeah.
Aaron Brockovich and Traffic.
That's a decent year, but
Yeah.
Gladiator is the obvious standout there.
Yeah. 2001, The Beautiful Mind beat Gosford Park, In the Bedroom, Lord of the Rings, and Moulin Rouge.
That's a bit of a scattershot year.
Yeah,
Those are all good
I don't think
movies,
Beautiful Mind.
but
I mean, Lord of the Rings is the one that wins, I think. I mean,
yeah, they gave it won they gave it to it in 2003 after the third one came out, which is definitely one of those we should have given it to you for the first one because the third one's not that great.
yeah, exactly. It had 3 different fucking endings, and I remember.
You know, honestly, like when that won Best Picture, I thought, okay, you know what, this movie wasn't the best, but this feels like hey, you guys pulled off an amazing feat. This was a cumulative Oscar, and honestly, I kind of felt like Robert Downey Jr. should have won an Oscar for playing Tony Stark after Endgame. Because, he played that character. He was killer as that character for, 10 years. You know?
I agree. I know I talked about, superhero fatigue recently on another podcast. But what Marvel Studios did is unprecedented.
Oh, yeah.
And none of them get taken seriously. I know, the artistes out there like to shit all over Marvel movies, but you think about how you managed to pull a multi-universe movie sensation over 20. Get the fuck out of here. It deserves an award, honestly. Pick one Marvel movie and give it the Oscar for best film, and then give it to Robert Downey Jr. Honestly,
right?
Yeah, even though they're popcorn movies and they're cheesy and they're over the top, that deserves to be recognized. I mean, I'm looking forward to the day when they can do a comprehensive documentary on what happened with the Marvel universe and how it came to be.
I hope we see it, but Disney is notoriously tight with that stuff, so we might never see it. But yeah, no, I think it's for it's unprecedented, and it kind of unfortunately ruined big budget filmmaking because everybody tried to copy it, but nobody wanted to do the work, and now we are in franchise.
And it's not over yet.
Franchise no man's land.
Yeah, it's too soon to do the documentary because we're dealing with third act of it basically, But I guess it would start with Batman '89, honestly, and then Marvel realizing, hey, we should try to do something, and then it taking them 13 years to really take hold of their own properties and start to put this plan into effect.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would love to see the interviews and the failed attempts and Blade. What did that do for them? And X-Men was a hit. Was that helpful for them or was it hurt? You don't need. I don't know. I guess you do need Disney's cooperation for a lot of it, but
yeah. Well, I mean, what's his name? Feige was involved all the way back since X-Men. He's in X-Men. He has a small role as one of the guards that Toad pounces on.
Cool.
When they get to Liberty Island or whatever. But yeah, he was a producer, a second or third level producer on X-Men. So he's been. Yeah. I think he might have been involved with the Spider-Man movies as well. I'm not totally sure, but he's been there since the ball really started rolling, and he just knew the right time to pick it up.
Do we want to go through the rest of the Oscar list? I think we can. I think people are interested if we just push through here.
We lost everybody at this point. We may as well.
Okay. So 2002, Chicago won.
Yep.
It beat Gangs of New York, The Hours, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, and The Pianist.
That's probably the right call.
Yep. 2003, as you said, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. It beat Lost in Translation, which I love, but I think that movie's terrible at the same time.
I saw it once, I think, in the theater, and I haven't seen it since.
Yeah. It's like watching Endless Summer or some movie where you just kind of got to go with the mood and the flow and not... Sure. Yeah. Anyway, Master and Commander, which was a lot...
Man,
go ahead.
I just watched that recently. That movie fucking rules.
So I saw it getting a lot of love on Joe Blow on YouTube. And I didn't realize how accurate that movie was and the sailing and how it didn't seem, even though it got nominated for an Oscar, I don't think we really appreciated how fucking good that movie was.
No, nobody did. I did not see it when it came out, and I just kind of, it was an afterthought. And then I can't remember why I watched it. I think, you know what? I might have watched it when I was playing Black Sails, the Assassin's Creed game.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was great. It's really good.
I think maybe it had a marketing problem.
Yeah.
As great as the movie was, I think maybe they tried to push it as Gladiator on the water, which is not what that movie is.
Yeah, it's a weird. It's not.
It's a buddy movie in a way.
It's not an outwardly facing like popcorn movie, but like once you get into it, that movie's really good.
Yeah. It also Lord of the Rings also beat Mystic River and Seabiscuit.
Okay, sure.
Mystic River, Boston guys. What do you and I think about Mystic River? I liked it.
I don't know if I've ever seen it. It just seemed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was one of those ones where it was like, this seems too depressing on a level that I can't even relate to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good Boston accents in that movie. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Even with Lawrence Fishburne, I think he pulled off a good Boston accent, which is, you know how critical we are about people who can do that accent correctly. All right, 2004, $1 Million Baby.
Is that a makeup for Mystic River, you think?
It was a gimme to Mr. Eastwood.
I don't know. I mean, because $1 Million Baby is like half a good movie. And then once she breaks her neck, I was like, you got to be fucking... Like, it was another one where I was like, this is so depressing on a level that is not even relatable. That movie ends with him murdering her, right? That movie ends with him smothering her to death, I think.
It was a mercy kill, Clay.
Call it what you want. You're still going to jail.
Yeah. And he ends up like in a diner eating pie, and you just roll credits.
Boy.
It's where Clint Eastwood was getting away with being an artiste, and we were sort of going along with it for a while. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure we're going to run into the other one he got nominated for, when he's the racist old man.
Oh, yeah. That movie was fun.
That's coming up here. All right, so $1 Million Baby beats The Aviator.
Yeah.
Finding Neverland.
Yeah.
Ray.
Yeah.
And Sideways.
Ugh,
I'm a massive... I love Sideways.
Yeah. That's a rough,
I know it's not for everybody.
That's a rough year.
I think The Aviator might be the best out of that list.
Honestly. That's another one people love, but I did not like that movie. I would
Michael Mann? Really?
No, that's Scorsese.
Oh, well, the producer was Michael Mann, it says here.
Oh yeah, okay, sure. I think he was. I think he wanted to make that movie for a while. It was just one of those ones that got away from him, and then Scorsese ended up doing it. But I don't know. I need to watch it again.
So 2005, Crash beats Brokeback Mountain.
Oh boy.
Capote, which I didn't care for,
I loved Capote.
and neither did Michael Bay. If you remember my story. I don't know if I've told that story fully here on the podcast. Anyway, Good Night and Good Luck.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And Munich.
Yeah, that's a good year. That's definitely a better year than Crash.
Yeah. 2006,
Man,
The Departed.
Munich. Oh, I gotta watch that. That's another one where like the first 2/3 of that movie are fucking killer.
I heard that's what got Daniel Craig James Bond.
Honestly, as soon as I heard his name, I was like, oh yeah, the guy from Munich. That's fucking awesome.
Right. Yeah.
He looks like Steve McQueen in that movie. It's great.
Yeah. 2006, Departed beats Babel.
Yeah.
Letters from Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
Man, Clint Eastwood's on a roll.
Yeah.
Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah.
And The Queen.
Oof. That's the year for Scorsese to win for not one of his best movies.
Yeah.
That's definitely a makeup year for him.
Yeah. It's funny. The Departed does not work at all with modern cell phones and stuff.
No.
It's so funny how that movie...
that was a movie I
enjoyed it.
I loved it the first time I saw it, and then I watched it a couple years later, and I was like, I don't really think I like this anymore. Something about it just didn't work for me anymore.
Didn't Marky Mark win Best Supporting Actor for basically being himself again?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm too lazy to look that up. So Little Miss Sunshine, I liked, and
I liked that movie.
when Steve, what's his name? Carell did that movie. I thought, man, this is his Bill Murray moment. This is when he's going to do something that's like perfect, artsy, shows him being not his normal character. Like, this is a good move. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, everything Steve Carell takes mostly is awful. I think whoever is advising him is terrible. I like the movie where he was like a wrestling coach.
Oh yeah, Foxcatcher.
But he's got such bad tastes in movies where he's working with like Jennifer Love Hewitt, and I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Or when he hooks up with Tina Fey, like, I don't know what he's thinking, but I think he picks terrible movies, and I just want to see him go back to being Michael Scott at this point. Okay, 2007, No Country for Old Men.
That's a good choice.
Atonement.
I never saw that.
It was harsh. I didn't get to it either, but it had the best scene. What was the scene from north of France when the French were evacuating? When the British were evacuating. Thank you. Yeah. The scene in Dunkirk was way more accurate than when Chris Nolan did it.
I had heard that the Dunkirk stuff in that movie. That's the Keira Knightley movie, right?
Yeah, it is. Juno, Michael Clayton, and this is gonna get you, Clay. There Will Be Blood.
Oh, oof. That's a coin flip for me with No Country for Old Men.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that's tough. They're both that or Blood. I think it's pretty fair. 2008. Ooh, this might be a crash moment. Slumdog Millionaire.
I did not like that movie.
Same here.
Yeah.
The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Oof. I didn't like that. And I'm a big fan of Fincher. Yeah. Frost Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
Milk and The Reader.
Yeah, that's a tough year. Milk was pretty good.
2008.
Frost Nixon was pretty good. Yeah, I don't know.
Yep. 2009, Hurt Locker. Beats Avatar, The Blind Side, District 9, An Education, Inglourious Bastards, A Serious Man, Up in the Air. Wow, that's a lot of movies.
That must have been that's the first year that they expanded it. That's a weird year. Yeah. What a weird year.
Yeah, every year after this. So normally it's been 5 movies get nominated so far. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 movies. Okay.
All right, I'm going to cap this at 2010 because I don't think.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, I'll just say 2010, The King's Speech won. Yeah. 2011, it was The Artist.
Yeah.
2012, Argo.
The Artist. Talk about a movie that just doesn't exist anymore.
I know, right? Argo, I think I like in my imagination.
Yeah, I like Argo. I don't know if it's in retrospect Best Picture material, but that was a good movie.
No, but Django Unchained was this nominated, and I think that survived better.
Yeah.
Lincoln, Les Mis survives better than that. Yeah. All right, so 2013, 12 Years a Slave. Mm. Again, that was Wolf of Wall Street, Captain Phillips, Delta Buyers Club. Okay. 2014. Birdman.
Yeah.
Wow, I forgot that one.
Yeah.
American Sniper.
Another Eastwood.
Nominated.
Yeah.
Selma, Whiplash. 2015. Spotlight.
Yep.
That was good. Mad Max Fury Road was also that year.
That was never going to win.
It
arguably should have, but it was not going to.
So this is an interesting question that is going around my friend circles where they're like, pick your top 20 movies of all time. Mm-hmm. Are any of them from the past 20 years?
Top 20 movies of all time, past 20 years?
And the question gets to nostalgia. Like, do you think that if you were 15 years old and, watching some of these movies would stick with you more recently, or is there actually like a drop in quality in the last 20 years?
I don't know. That's a question I think about from time to time because I don't know if this stuff does stick with people the way it used to. And part of me thinks that this stuff has become so disposable that it's so, because like when we were growing up, we had 10 videotapes that we watched 1,000 times, and now it's just you watch half of Spider-Verse while you're on your phone, and this movie that is would have been in any other generation monumental and life-changing is just like something that you kind of watched and thought was pretty good. But I know I could be giving too little credit to the kids of today, but
I think there is a nostalgia aspect to it. But Mad Max is Fury Road is one of the top 20 movies for me, and that is a more recent movie. So it's still possible, I think, to find
I would
a
put
new
a
one.
few in there. I would put Mad Max. I would probably put There Will Be Blood in there, and
Yep. Yeah, that's fair.
arguably the first Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 2016, Moonlight.
Yep.
Which I have not seen. All right.
That's the La La Land here.
Yeah, Fences, Hidden Figures, Lion, Manchester by the Sea.
Nice how I said I was going to cap this at 2010, and you just blew right through that, huh?
Shape of Water. We're almost done, man. We're almost caught up to where we are now. 2017, Shape of Water.
Yep. That one, that's still such a curiosity. I still have not seen that, and I need to see it, and it's such a curiosity to me that won.
It is the best Hellboy movie ever, honestly.
Yeah.
Or Abe Sapien, I should say. 2018, Green Book.
Yeah.
I like that movie. 2019, Parasite.
Yep.
2020, Nomadland.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Wait a
what
minute.
else was that year?
Yeah, don't worry. Okay, The Father. Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yep.
I like that one. Mank, I hated.
Yep.
Fuck you, Mank. You derailed Mindhunters. Miniari.
I don't know. Oh,
Minari?
that was the one with the kid from Walking Dead in it that was getting a lot of really good press.
Okay. Promising Young Women.
Yep.
Sound of Metal, which was good. Trial of the Chicago 7. That was pretty good, too.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of those movies. I saw Promising Young Woman. That was really good, but I don't think I've seen any other ones.
Nomadland. So, 2021, Coda. What the hell is that?
Yeah, 2021 is the year where it's like movies nobody has seen and hasn't watched since.
Okay. The only one that I recognize here is Dune.
Oh, yeah.
King Richard and West Side
of course,
Story.
that was the year. That was the year where he slapped Chris Rock, of course.
Oh, man, that's what really won the award.
Right, yeah. Nobody remembers anything past that in that show, so...
Everything Everywhere All at Once. I remember you texted us first. Like you were watching it live, and we were like, "What?"
Yeah.
Do you think? And then we can end this. Do you think Will Smith's career and his wife's is sort of over from now on? Or you think it's forever dinged because of that?
I don't know. I think it's going to be tough. I don't think anyone's ever going to forget it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's banned from the Oscars for like 10 years or something, isn't he? Is that what the deal was?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Who knows?
Like I know you want to separate the actor from his work if you can, but I have a hard time. Like I just know way too much about Will Smith and his wife now, and I think she's awful too, and I just. I don't like the pretentious movies he keeps doing. I just kind of miss him being in Independence Day and Men in Black and being fun.
Well, he was
like,
he was trying to get an Oscar. I mean, that's the thing that's so worth its own movie almost is that the last 15 years of his career or so, or maybe whatever, ever since Ali, which was I think early 2000s, he's been doing movies trying to get an Oscar, and the night he finally gets it, it gets completely overshadowed by the fact that he slapped Chris Rock in the face.
What did he get the Oscar for?
For King Richard.
Oh.
Yeah, so he slapped him in the face and then like 10 minutes later accepted the Best Actor award. It's so fucking weird.
There should be a Will Smith movie one day.
Oh, I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, played by Michael B. Jordan. I guess he might be too old now, but yeah. Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, man. Yeah, and the other thing too is like Will Smith's kids are such fucking trash that I just know way too much about this guy to ever enjoy him again. Like, I actually was able to enjoy Men in Black 3 because I was able to ignore all the crap I knew about him. But that was before the slap. Now it's like, fuck that guy, fuck his wife, fuck his kids.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He was the last. He was often referred to as the last movie star. Like the last big movie star who could, I mean, outside of Tom Cruise, who could pull well, I mean, last is like, chronologically, who could sell a movie just based on his name. But I don't know how much that's going to work anymore. But
Yeah.
Anyway, this is officially, I think, our
been
longest
fun.
episode.
Yep.
And
Hey, man, it was
Sean
worth it.
didn't even watch one of those episodes we talked about.
Lists are fun.
Yeah, so hopefully this made up for it. But thank you guys for listening. When this comes out, as I said, Sean and I are both going to be at AwesomeCon in Washington, D.C. So if you're in the area, coming by, say hi, and tell us what you think of the Oscars Best Pictures winners from the last 35 years. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, brother. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, and we'll be back next time with Plague and April Moon.